Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Monday. It is Monday, September 21st, 2020. And of course, I am Dr. Cindy Duke, your Johns Hopkins Yale trained physician scientist who is a board certified obstetrician gynecologist, practicing reproductive endocrinologist and infertility specialist here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm also a PhD trained virologist, having earned my PhD at the University of Rochester School of Medicine and Dentistry in upstate New York. So I'm here today for a very quick hello and a reintroduction. I'm also here because guess what? I can go live on LinkedIn. So this is my first ever LinkedIn Live. Of course, if you're watching, you're seeing me across many platforms. So I'm currently live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. And I'm so excited. So again, I'm Dr. Cindy Duke. It's Monday. I've had a pretty busy day today. At my clinic, the Nevada Fertility Institute, which is located in Las Vegas, Nevada, we have been very busy. We've been doing retrievals. I actually did 2 egg retrievals this morning and a number of other procedures, including inseminations. And then I saw patients this afternoon via telemedicine. I have been doing telemedicine for a long time. I started seeing patients via telemedicine back in 2016 when I first launched my practice, and I wanted to have an international basis and scope to my practice. And for those who are listening, if you detect an accent, that is because I was born and raised in the Southern Caribbean. I was born in Tobago, part of the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And so that's the accent that you hear, but I'm based in the United States. So I happen to be someone who splits my citizenship between the United States and Trinidad and Tobago. As a result, telemedicine was very important to me from day one, once I started practicing, because I'm not only a licensed physician in the United States, but I actually have a license in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. So for me, I've been doing telemedicine since then, but with this COVID-19 pandemic, we were certainly thrusted into having to do telemedicine on a much more larger scale. And having scaled my practice here in Las Vegas to a telemedicine practice for the purposes of consultations and visits that just require conversation, not examination, I see my patients via video medicine. It works really well. We achieve all the same goals and all the same things we'd achieve if we were sitting face to face with each other. My patients also have ability to take their vitals, etc., if it's needed. It's been amazing. So that was my day today. For those who know me, September is a especially fun month for me because it's my birth month. And so my favorite color is blue, hence the blue in my logos, etc., that you see. Blue happens to be my birth month color. As you know, sapphire is the birthstone for September. So it all comes together really nicely for me. But I'm really here just to say hello. I'm excited. Hello, everybody on LinkedIn. Hi, Dr. Sala. Hello, hello. Hello, Nanika. Hi, Dr. Plummer. It's so nice to see you guys here. And I'm so excited to finally be able to go live on LinkedIn. It's super exciting. Hey, G, long time no see. I hope you're doing well. G was one of my virtual assistants for a while. And so I'm super excited to have this platform to share. And there's so much that I intend to share with you guys as we go forward. For those who know me from going live on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, I share on multiple aspects of my life and my professional career. So as a woman of color, a Black woman in medicine, I share some of my thoughts about that, some of the ways I've managed to be quite successful in my field of work and in my academic pursuits. I also share my struggles and what I did to overcome them, including the amazing people who became a part of my network and helped me along my way as I continue to strive for excellence. As a OBGYN and a reproductive endocrinologist and infertility specialist, I also share on topics related to infertility, topics related to fertility preservation, which is for folks who may not yet be ready to start their family, but are interested in at least preserving their options for future. We talk about that. We talk about patients who are struggling with cancer, but seeking to either freeze sperm, freeze eggs, freeze embryos, meaning fertilize eggs. We talk about that. We talk about patients who are doing the transition, who are probably doing what we call, gender affirmation surgery and may need to freeze egg or sperm so that they can have biological children in the future. I talk about all of that, but I also talk about hormones. So I talk about estrogen, progesterone. I'm a believer in progesterone. Who isn't, right? But really, the importance of progesterone, particularly in early pregnancy, the importance of progesterone in people who are struggling with pregnancy loss and miscarriage. So we do all that, but I'm also someone with that PhD in virology. And so in the last 7 months of this global pandemic, I've spent a lot of my time working on educating the masses about COVID-19, debunking myths. Unfortunately, there's been just so much misinformation that's been peddled around COVID and COVID-19 that now here in the United States, we have just crossed the 200,000 mark for deaths from COVID-19. And I know some people don't believe we really have had 200,000 deaths. That is something we can talk and debate over another time, but it's really important to know that COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2 virus is still very much here. It's still very much an issue, and no one should take it slightly, nor should you become complacent about it, because it's here and it's not going away anytime fast. I think, as we go along, I will continue sharing about that. I write blogs. Many of you have seen my blogs, read my blogs. I share my blogs on medium.com and have been very active. I've become one of the contributors for one of Medium's publications known as The Startup. And in The Startup, I share my other passions. So I just talked a lot about my medical side of my passion and my PhD, my research passions, but I also really very much am interested in entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship as it relates to women, entrepreneurship as it relates to women from diverse backgrounds entering different fields and figuring out ways to also make their field an entrepreneurial track. And so I write papers and articles related to that. I've just started putting together some courses looking at those very specific things, including very straightforward how to be on social media as a physician, as a woman, as an entrepreneur. And of course, much of my advice can be used by people who aren't identifying themselves as a woman. So that's okay, right? If you're a guy, I share a lot of stuff that you can read as well. But yes, a lot of my content does sound slanted toward women because that is one of the areas where I saw, for me as a woman coming up in business, in medicine, that there was very little information that I could directly apply or take from other people's life stories and apply to mine. As a Black woman in medicine, I felt like there were times where I either was excluded, not necessarily intentionally, but I was excluded from the conversation when it came to talking about medicine, talking about the business of medicine. And so, of course, being the go-getter that I am, I put myself into those positions to have those conversations, put myself into positions to learn more, put myself in positions to encourage others to learn with me and to really, help others understand that you don't have to be fearful of your own dream. And if you have a dream, but you're not sure of what the tools are that you need to pursue and accomplish said dream, then there are ways to acquire the tools. The last thing you need to tell yourself is, I can't do this. The last thing you need to tell yourself is, well, it's just not for me. Many things in life weren't designed to be for you, but you can create opportunities to make it yours. And it's important that we all talk about things like that. So I'm looking forward to sharing more as we go along. As I mentioned, September is my birth month, which means I have a birthday in September. Duh. Well, I happen to be that person whose birthday is on September 30th. So I get to celebrate all month and culminate the month with the big party. And so I have a birthday coming up next week, God's willing, and I'm excited about that. I am excited about birthdays. Maybe it's because as a kid, my mom threw me parties, so I always knew birthday meant a big thing, And so I still throw myself big personal events, not necessarily parties, but I hype myself up about my birthday. So God's willing, next week I'll be celebrating, sharing some of my favorite things. Usually I travel for my birthday. That's not really going to happen this year. I'm okay with that. I'm prepared for it. I'm accepting of it. But I'm still going to do some fun things, and I'll be launching some things. So you guys get ready. It's so exciting. If you have questions for me, also feel free to share. Again, I'm Dr. Cindy Duke. I'm a board certified obstetrician gynecologist. I'm a reproductive endocrinologist, infertility specialist based in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm the founder of the Nevada Fertility Institute, which is a full service fertility clinic, reproductive endocrinology clinic, and surgery center based in Las Vegas, Nevada. But I serve patients from around the world and patients from every background that you can imagine, whether it be religious background, sexual, gender background, social background, cultural background. We do all that at Nevada Fertility Institute. I am a PhD trained virologist, and so I do a lot of work when it's related to virology. I'm very keen and interested in finding out about how viruses interact with the human system, human immune system, and how they interact even in reproduction. That's been something that I'm very interested in. Another area of interest for me in my research is looking at disparities in healthcare and how we can use technology to close those gaps in healthcare and healthcare delivery. And so hence part of my interest in telemedicine and why I became so active and involved in telemedicine as far back as 2016. My time in telemedicine, was helped by my very good friend, Dr. Letitia Rowe, and RoweDocs. And so I still have a very close relationship with all the RoweDocs and Tisha. And if you're someone who's interested in telemedicine, you're welcome to talk to me. You can talk to Tisha, you can talk to the network. I can certainly give a lot of insight about international telemedicine and how that works. Let's see here. I'm getting ready to wrap up, but let's see how our viewers are doing. It looks like we have a few questions. So Lanika Amaka says, question for you. If a woman is over 35 with no children and unsure if she wants kids, what do you tell her about freezing her eggs? That's an excellent question, Nanika. And what I tell women about freezing eggs is you don't have to end up using your eggs when you freeze them, but freezing your eggs at least gives you the opportunity and the option to use your eggs later should you find out that you've now decided you want to pursue having a family. Freezing your eggs, I like to say, think of it as freezing the youngest version of yourself at any given point. So eggs, for those who may not be familiar with it, as women, we're born with all the eggs we're going to have. So when a little baby girl is born, she already has the eggs that she's going to have for the rest of her lifetime packed into her ovaries. And as we age, those eggs age with us. They also decline over time, such that by the time, for most women, by the time we hit age 50, we're out of all of the eggs, the viable eggs we were born with, and we enter menopause. And so it's key to know that women don't make new eggs as they go along in their lifetime. So if you're someone who's planning or thinking, I might want to have kids, or I'm not sure, but I may change my mind, then freezing your eggs affords you the opportunity to have a chance at children using your biological eggs. And I say biological because certainly at my clinic, women achieve pregnancy well into their 50s. But the difference there is after a certain age, especially after age 42, many times you need to use eggs from someone younger, known as egg donation or an egg donor. And so if you're someone who wants to keep that opportunity and that option available and open to you, then you should consider freezing your eggs. So again, freezing your eggs doesn't mean you have to use them, but it at least gives you the option and your backup plan, your fallback plan, should you find that your eggs are either so much older that they don't perform very well in terms of achieving pregnancy, or they're gone and now you want to have children, then it gives you that option. Hi, Louise. So nice to see you. Hi, Janelle. Thank you so much. Thank you. Anne-Marie says good evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it's really important that we all keep that in mind when we talk about egg freezing. Egg freezing isn't something that says you have to use the eggs which are frozen. Egg freezing is not a guarantee that you will have future babies, but it certainly stacks the deck in your favor should you choose to decide that you wanted to have children later in age. And at 35, that's really that inflection point where egg age takes a big toll on the quality of embryos that can be formed for pregnancy, but also egg number declines pretty rapidly. So, you know, like I said, when a little girl is born, she's born with all her eggs. She's born with millions, 1 to 2 million eggs usually. By age 30, 70% of those eggs that she was born with are gone. And by 40, 97% of those eggs are gone, meaning only about 3% of the eggs she was born with are remaining with her by age 40. So as you can see, between age 30 and 40, there's a really big decline. Not to mention the fact that the eggs are now 40 years old, 42 years old, 43 years old. And if you think of yourself, just if you're someone 40 or older, just think about how you feel some days when you wake up. Imagine your eggs. They feel the same way. So keep that in mind. Hi, Dr. Renee. How are you? Dr. Renee, guess what? I'm live on LinkedIn today. Isn't that so cool? So yes, guys, it's just me coming in to say hi, hello. I'm so excited. I'm now on LinkedIn as well. So I can go live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. And of course, I've been going live on Instagram. So before I wrap up, a few things for this week. On the Dr. Cindy Duke website, I have a new guest blog publishing this week. We had one published last week as well by Dr. Toyin, and she actually published about menopause and the menopause transition. And she wrote a really eloquent blog all about what it was like to transition into menopause and what she felt and what she learned and how she came out on the other side feeling empowered and ready for that next phase in her life. This week, we have a blog coming up from an embryologist who talks all about what you can do to help the embryologist. And as you may know, an embryologist is a person who actually puts sperm and egg together in the laboratory. And so she's written a lovely blog outlining things that you, if you're a fertility patient, can take to boost your embryo quality and chances for how things perform in the laboratory, just with your everyday life and lifestyle changes. So that's a really, really good one as well. And in keeping with our guest blogging platform, we're also going to be interviewing our bloggers. So back in end of August, we had a blog written by Chiquita. Chiquita talked all about egg freezing and egg freezing in Black women. And she actually has a film also about that. So I've invited her to join me for a live event this Wednesday, September 23rd, September 23rd. And we'll be talking about her blog, about the issue of Black women and egg freezing, because the truth is very few Black women compared to other ethnic backgrounds are freezing their eggs in the United States and elsewhere. Yet, If you look at the demographics, professional Black women tend to be the ones who get married later, tend to be the ones who are interested in starting their families at a later age, and hence they need to be a group that need to be considering egg freezing. And so Chiquita is coming to join me, Chiquita Lockley. We're going to talk about her guest blog, but also her film that she has done exploring this issue. And I hope you can join us for that and spread the word. Tell your friends. We'll be live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and ultimately on Instagram as well. And so that's going to be really, really cool. And every week going forward on a Wednesday, there'll be me and one of my guest bloggers talking about their blog, what prompted them to write the blog, and what is it that they'd like you to know about the blog. In addition to that, Fertility Thursdays with Dr. Cindy will be returning. That's where every 2 weeks, bi-weekly, we will explore a fertility topic. Again, it will be somewhere between 30 to 45 minutes long, maybe sometimes an hour long. Fertility Thursdays really was how I launched myself doing live on Facebook and really encouraging people to think about fertility and to expose them to myself and my clinic. So it's coming back. Of course, it's coming back differently. It used to be Fertility Thursdays with NFI. It's now Fertility Thursdays with Dr. Cindy. And we will have not just me talking about fertility, but we'll have guests, which include doctors, patients, people talking about financing, people talking about international medicine and fertility medicine. It's going to span the gamut. And I think you're going to be really excited to do this with me and my guests, which is every 2 weeks, launching next Thursday, October 1st. And so that's what's coming up this week. Of course, as you know, a few weeks ago, I launched the Dr. Cindy store, which has merchandise, all intended to support my girl-powered success and survival international mission and foundation. Because yes, I'm also a philanthropist. And so I'm really excited. We've actually been doing some philanthropic work this month in conjunction with my mom, Mama Coco, in our home country of Trinidad and Tobago, much like other places, but we focus our efforts this month in Trinidad and Tobago, which is there are a number of children for whom virtual learning is near impossible currently, because while that country is fighting COVID-19, there's a surge in COVID-19 cases, school is virtual, but many children do not have access to laptops and computers to help them actually go to school virtually. And so we are working very hard to find partners within industry to also help provide laptops. They don't have to be super sophisticated. They just need to be able to run the programs that the children need and to get them online so that they can access the education that they need. Education is obviously very important to me. As someone who grew up there in a working class family, I couldn't be Dr. Cindy today if it wasn't for my stellar educational opportunities, having access to such opportunities, because education can change a life. It does change lives, and I'm living proof of that. And so please join me as we do more work there, and you'd hear more about it as well. So that's it, 23 minutes. So excited. Thank you for joining. Feel free to share. Feel free to tell everyone about it. I look forward to learning more about my LinkedIn network. If you'd like to join me live to talk about your work, your strategies, absolutely shoot me a message and we can go live together. My network on LinkedIn here has grown so much. When this pandemic started, I was just over 2,000 LinkedIn connections. At this point, I have 5,300 connections and almost 9,000 contacts on LinkedIn. So clearly we're growing, and I am learning so much from the different people's posts about using social media, using brand strategy, content strategy, entrepreneurial efforts, people doing different things within the telemedicine and telehealth space, people doing things related to healthcare and artistic art industries. I'm excited. So if you'd like to join me live or there's something you'd like to talk about, feel free. I am super excited to meet you, super excited to talk about things. For those who are tuning in for the first time, again, I'm Dr. Cindy M. Duke. You can find me on all social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google. I'm on Tumblr. I'm on Medium. You can find me at Dr. Cindy M. Duke, one word. And of course, you can always check me out on my website, and we'll see you then. So until then, take care. This Wednesday, don't forget, I'll be on with Chiquita talking about egg freezing in Black community and Black women, and why Black women need to consider egg freezing. Of course, all women need to consider, but specifically talking about Black women in this episode. We'll be having new blogs this week, and next week we'll meet for a new episode of Fertility Thursdays with Dr. Cindy, as well as my birthday. Bye.